Okay, all right. It is now 12 o'clock sharp. We're starting. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host. My name is Steve Liang. I'm one of the co-founders and one of the partners of Real Estate IQ. And welcome to our second deal maker, deal winner, Ask Me Anything. We'll invite Sheila up here shortly, and we'll have so many questions to ask her. And we also want to encourage you to prepare your questions and ask your question live, right? This is the opportunity for us to learn from Sheila, one of the biggest deal winners in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, up and coming. And she also has a fantastic new company that she just launched, and we'll learn about that and how it can help you win more deals. Now, before we get started, we want to go over some market updates. We thought this is a really good time, for active deal makers out there. How's the market doing? And before that, we do have a obligatory sponsor message from Real Estate IQ that we offer all kinds of services to help you in your investment journey. Our lead product is Off-Market Lead, which is a fantastic lead generation tool for active investors, because we have active data miners that are looking for deals for you every single day. In fact, we'll probably go into how Sheila is able to leverage our Real Estate IQ leads to find her first deals. And she has some struggles and stories in the beginning too that she shared with me before, and we'll learn about that. A couple of other additional products that you might be interested in is skip tracing, where you can get the contact information for the homeowners so you can contact them. And also we're proud to host a lot of events, educational events for us, because it's through events and through networking that we're able to grow our knowledge and grow our network and therefore our business. So really happy to have these products for you. And our next slide is about the current market trends. Now, some of us may be aware that the Fed is now talking about, hey, it's time to start lowering the interest. So we're going to talk a little bit about the interest rate. But before that, let's talk about the housing prices. So home prices are rising the highest in Northeast and also in the West, on the West Coast. For the states in kind of the Midwest, Texas or whatnot, we are seeing the lowest amount of increase. That said, we're still seeing a lot of increase across the board in the entire country. So these are the top 5 markets with the highest potential home prices. We are forecasting that Tampa, St. Pete has the highest price increase, followed by Nashville and Hartford. Now, we just talked about mortgage rate, and here's the prediction for mortgage rate that in Q3, we're looking at about 6.83%. And this is based on the 3 authoritative sources that we've been looking at. We've been monitoring in terms of mortgage rates. And the prediction is that we're going to continue to see a gradual decrease in mortgage interest rate, which is going to make homes more affordable. And frankly, we've been waiting for a drop of interest rates to stimulate the economy for quite a while now. We've been talking about it since the middle of the year. So next, let's look at the foreclosures. Okay, we're seeing a drop in foreclosure, especially back in 2021, and comparing to pre-pandemic, which is the 2020, 2019 level, we are still a way off. And we're expecting the foreclosure numbers to be relatively flat and stabilize in the 180,000 level. Now that said, there's still a lot of foreclosure deals. Like, think about just getting one deal, right? We're not talking about getting every single deal. Obviously, there's close to 200,000 deals every single year. If we just get one, that's a lot of profits already. So we liked looking at our data. So this is a Real Estate IQ source, and when we look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in terms of equity breakdown, we see that about 30% of those houses have over 200K in equity, and about 25% have under $50,000 in equity. So depend on the amount of equity, we have different strategy of acquiring the properties. And so, for example, the subject to strategy would probably work really well for the ones that have low equity. And then obviously when you have high equity, there are many things you can do. We look at things, then we look at the data a little bit differently. We go, okay, in terms of these houses that are going into foreclosure, what's the interest rate that they're in? And we find that about 9% have under 3% in interest rate. So these were likely taken out during the pandemic time when we had a low interest rate offering, and about 5% have more than 7% equity. I know that when we're looking at deal by deal, it's hard to kind of see what statistics and what numbers they are. So we wanted to kind of share with you that the majority are in the 3 to 9%. And if you see a mortgage that's under 3%, man, that's a really good interest rate to lock in there. All right. And then we also look at, well, okay, so we see the breakdown. And what about the origination type? So on the right chart, we see is the historical interest rate over time. And what we see here is between 2008 and 2016, we had a period of low interest rate. And also between 2020 and 2022, another period of low interest rate. And we color those green here, about 15% and also 26%. So a total of 41% of the mortgages have the low interest rate or originated during the low interest rate times. And then here between 2023 and now, we're in a high interest rate environment now. So about 13 of those foreclosures were originated during that time, which is a higher interest rate. I thought that's very interesting. And the Real Estate IQ team also did another really cool chart, which I appreciate, is the top 5 zip codes that we should look into for door knocking. So what we do is we look at all the houses that are going into foreclosure, and we ask the question, which zip code has the most foreclosure properties? And these are the top 5. We have 75211 and 75216. They're from Dallas. And then we also have 76104 and 105, which are also kind of the top part of the top 5. And they're in Fort Worth. So if you're doing door knocking or driving for dollars, these are the top 5 zip codes we recommend that you start paying more attention to. Cool. So that's all we have for market update. We also want to let you know that we have pushed out the MAP process, which stands for the mortgage arbitrage process. We actually started using this method to acquire some deals, and you will start seeing Real Estate IQ sharing and publishing some live deals that we were able to put on contract. In fact, we have a deal right now close to Waco. And if you are investing in that area, and it's an all cash deal, so this is maybe not necessarily the mortgage arbitrage piece, but we do have a live deal close to Waco. So if you're interested in learning more about the deal, just give us a holler or send a message on the comment section, and we'll get in touch with you. Okay, we're right on time. I want to introduce our next speaker, Sheila Thompson. She's a very good client of ours. She has won a lot of deals with the Real Estate IQ leads, and we just got to know each other last month. And really pleasant lady to chat with, and very, very smart too. And so Sheila has done all kinds of deals. She has done burnt houses and flooded homes because they're interesting. My impression of Sheila is that she loves taking on new challenges, especially if it's new. I see I see that she is a growth-minded person, and so looking at these kind of new type of deals and doing creative deal making is something that she's very passionate about. Another passion that she has is helping fellow investors and sharing her hard-won lessons. And so we talked about the Unlock VA as a company that she just recently launched to help investors get more deals and win more deals. So let's get started. And we welcome Sheila on the stage.
Hey.
All right. So Sheila, how are you doing? Could you tell us a brief story of yours?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Sheila. I'm an investor up in the DFW area. My background, so before I was, in real estate investing, my background was I worked in construction as a GC for commercial. So we really focused on building, hotels and hospitals and that kind of thing. I'm originally from California, now in Texas. So I sometimes keep that a little bit hidden, It's like, whoop,
I
nope,
could
haven't.
tell.
Yes, yes. And so kind of moving here, we moved here during that COVID boom. We were right before it, and then we started to go into the COVID boom. And I just sort of realized I don't think I'm meant to be an employee. I think every entrepreneur feels that and understands that statement where you're just not bred for it. You're meant to do something different. And so, my family, I come from a line of entrepreneurs. So I think it's just in my blood to go out on my own.
Yeah. And tell us more about your partner in crime, your husband as well. Both of your background. I thought your backgrounds are and your skill set is very complementary too. And that's something that our listeners want to learn more about.
Yes. So he started off as an electrician as well. We met in high school, so we kind of grew up and did everything together. And then he switched over to a correction officer in a county jail. And so that was recently, but it's brutal. I mean, that it was a night shift. It's brutal. There is no option but to bring that home with you. That's a really hard job to go in, day out. So we both kind of figured we need to figure something else out. We need to do something where, we get to spend time with each other. Like they're right down the hall right now. My husband and my 5 dogs, they're right there. It's an amazing ability and gift to have where instead of, living to work, you work to live. That was my priority.
And maybe also share with us a little bit of your journey of like how did you both come across and find real estate investments as kind of your vehicle for your passion?
Yeah, so we kind of got hit with that perfect Facebook advertising. We were in that zone. We're like, what are we going to do? Oh my gosh, look at all these houses. And then, of course, Facebook did what it does best and it targeted us and it worked. Yes. So we went to one of those, the 3-day seminars and we were hooked. But I will say, for anybody that is just starting off in real estate, you kind of go through this high and low and it's completely normal. So when we did first join, it was a very high. We're very excited. Oh my gosh, everybody's going to want to sell to us. We're providing a great solution. No, it was difficult. And so we kind of went through that period where we were wondering, oh, is it a scam? Did we just get tricked? Like, is this real? And so we were kind of in that fork in the road where we could either just stick to our day jobs, go back to work, forget this whole thing even happened, or double down and try again. And so we doubled down, we hired a VA and kind of recognizing where our weaknesses were, because it's ironic. I do have the VA company and people think that I love cold calling or that I love that aspect. And no, I sought out a VA because I hate cold calling. It is not my strong suit. I like talking to people that like talking to me. So we doubled down, we hired the VA, and then it was within 2 weeks later, we had, with Real Estate IQ lead list, we had a lead that was a divorce and a foreclosure, and they had 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, this is actually going to work.
And tell us about your early struggle. I also understood that like for the first like 4 or 5 months, right? And every
Yeah.
single day, it's a struggle,
No,
especially
it
when
is.
you're anxious about getting the deals.
Yes, and it feels like you're not, for anybody that is listening, you're not. It just feels like you're failing because I think we all have this high expectation of, I'm going to take the class and I'm going to do my homework and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm going to have a contract. Okay, that's what happened to us is we had a lot of contracts, but they weren't closing because we didn't know the difference yet between a good lead and a bad lead. And we just thought anybody that signed a contract, woohoo, great job, let's go. No. And so that first 6 months, we really started to build up our instinct for disqualifying leads and realizing it's okay to say no. You're
Yeah.
going to waste it's a time saver. It's okay to say no. And so we kind of went through that 6 month hump, I guess, where it's like, oh my gosh, it's not closing, it's not working, and what are we doing wrong? And then we just realized we're not script people. We just want to talk to people. I'm not a salesperson. I am definitely not a cash offer type of person. You got to realize what you're good at and what you're bad at, more importantly. And I realized pretty quickly, I am not great at some people really are, where they can bulldog into that cash offer. I wasn't. And so what really opened the door for me was I started to learn more about sub two and creative finance. I'm like, now here's where I'm really providing a real solution. I think it connected with me. So it's kind of, you got to keep going until you find something that you really connect with. And sub two creative finance, that's when it all connected for me. And so once I was able to figure out, like how you're talking low equity, no one else is reaching out to them. No one else is really helping them because they just think, hey, they don't meet that 70% minus repair. I love it because they do have that 3% interest rate.
Mhm.
There are different ways to work the low equity, and you just got to figure out what speaks to you.
So let's talk about this, and we talk about this during our map class too. This solution it really hits the right place because for the homeowner, when they have low equity, what happens? They can't sell. They can't drop the price lower.
Yeah.
It just sits on the market, and this especially, and I don't know if you specifically target the folks that are listed on the market or not, but they're also looking at closing costs.
Yeah.
And so now we're looking at a situation where they can't drop the price. They're stuck. And they have to keep making monthly payments still to keep the house, and they really needed that solution, and and I think that's where the sub2 comes in. And Sheila, would you tell us more about how this sub2 works and how it solves that problem for those that are new to the game?
Yes. So typically, when you are looking at sub two, when people are in foreclosure, it's very rarely the house's problem. You're not really looking in and saying, oh my God, this house is falling apart. That's why it's in foreclosure. No, people are typically in foreclosure because they're going through the toughest time of their life. They have outside factors that are affecting them. And I let everybody know selling to an investor is never going to be your first option. You should not look at us as your first solution. You should be looking at the market. You should be looking to sell at top dollar. So I do let everybody know if they have the equity, go sell it on the market. I mean, there's even a strategy called novation for that, where I maybe do about 1 to 2 novations a month where we have a homeowner, they have a bunch of equity. It would not be in their best interest to sell to someone like me. So instead, I just hold their hand to get them through the selling process on the market so they can just focus and move on to the next house. Because my offer is going to be a lot worse than a traditional home buyer. So then we do have some lower equity people that just, like you said, they can't afford to sell. So typically they're going to have arrears or reinstatement. And so say, they're $10,000 in arrears, we'll step in, we'll pay off that $10,000. We'll give them some money to go and move on with their life, and then we'll take over their mortgage. And you can even do a sub-2 flip. We do a few of those. I love it because you don't have to go get hard money costs. You don't have to get a loan. You just do it yourself. Or you keep it, you wrap it, you rent it, and do whatever you want.
And what I love, doing when I look at these sub-2 deals is that the math is completely different from a cash offer and cash deal, because in cash, we deal with the present. So the math needs to work.
Mhm.
Like there's only this much equity or there's only this much. And so we can't offer any more. But when we do sub-2, now we're looking at the future value of money, and it completely opens up a different kind of math and a different kind of way of profiting.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the magic is, in opening up kind of new venues of how to make the deal work.
Yes.
And Sheila, could you tell us more about Novation also, since you brought up Novation? How does that work?
Yes. So that really, I kind of call it the relationship method, where it's you have a great relationship with the homeowner. They trust you. They maybe have had a bad experience with an agent, or they don't trust the agents. And so a lot of them say, I'm never selling the market. I don't want to sell with an agent. It's a headache, because it kind of is. There's a give and take. You get a higher offer, but you also have to deal with the headaches and the nitpicking and the inspection period. But
Yeah.
so what we do is kind of like a full turnkey service, where we do have relationships or agents that are working with us, and they will list at a really great discount. But I'll handle everything for them: the negotiating, the inspections, the appraisals, doing the comps, fighting the appraiser. I kind of step in, and I'm that go-between between the agent and the homeowner, because they literally never want to hear from the agent. They just want to focus on packing and moving. Okay, I got you. We'll handle it. And so it really is just that simple, where you have an owner that says, "Hey, I just want 200,000 and I'm happy to walk away." Okay, well, now it's my job to get a penny over 200,000, and that's what I get to walk away with. So it's really coming to that understanding where, hey, what would make you happy? And let's go get it.
So how would you structure the deal? So let's say the owner wants at least 200K, right? And let's say you're able to go like 220. Do you split the difference then, or how do you
So
structure?
that's what's kind of beautiful with it. It changes. You can change it up. So if the homeowner has a very set price in mind where they want that 200,
Mhm.
we're fully transparent with them. Even when we do wholesales, we let every single homeowner know, hey, that 200 price, I'm never going to buy your house for 200, but I maybe know somebody who will buy it for 200. Want me to try to find? So every single wholesale deal we do, people are surprised, because they'll ask us like, hey, do you need me to pretend to be the contractor? I'm like, no, you're my buyer. Let them know. They know what we're doing. And so we do the exact same thing with novations. So they say, I want 200. Now it's my job to prove my worth of why I deserve that $20,000 extra. Or if we're not quite sure what it will sell for, sometimes the market gets a little weird, or it's a smaller town. Hey, we just do a 70-30. You get 70%, it's your house. This is not my house. I'm just here providing a service. You get 70% of profit. I'll just keep 30, and I'll hustle my little butt off for you.
Got it. Okay. So sounds like it could be different deals. It could be where they have a set price that they want, and then anything above that, that's your profit. Or it could be a split of difference. It's really kind of up to you and the homeowner and
Yes.
how you guys are able to do it.
And I will say, people are doing novations a little bit differently right now, where they are actually putting money into the deal and rehabbing. No, I have never done a novation where I put money into the deal.
Yeah.
Every novation is just, it's my relationship with them. They trusted me, and that's it. I don't have to rehab the house. I just kind of want to put it out there that there is a method out there that You do a novation, you pay for the carpet and the paint and update it and then sell it. Please don't ever do that. So I always tell people, don't put a penny into a house that you don't own the deed to. And so if you do need to update the house to make it market ready, that's perfectly fine. Take it sub 2. It won't be a novation anymore because you can take it sub 2 and you can let the owner know, hey, I can't give you your 20K right now, but I can give it to you when we sell on the market in 6 months. Perfect. No problem. It just, I've seen too many investors invest, tens of thousands of dollars into a home that they didn't own. And then the seller changes their mind and
Yeah,
they kind of just got a rehab for free.
yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a big watch out.
Yes.
And Sheila, I have you mentioned disqualifying. You
Mhm.
mentioned in the beginning, you guys got a lot under contract, but they didn't close. So you got better at disqualifying the homeowners. What are some signs that you watch out for, and what are some signs? Maybe you can also share like some of the deals that didn't work. Why was it?
Yes. So the biggest one is going to be your bidding wars. So if you have a seller that says, I'm just looking for the highest offer,
Mhm.
I can pretty much guarantee them I'm never going to be your highest offer because I actually close on the offer that I give you. So if I tell you I'm going to give you 200,000, I'm going to close at it. But there are some people out there that to win the deal, they will offer 210 and then they will renegotiate after the option period. I don't have option periods in my contract. I'm the buyer. I know what I saw and I'm fine with it. So I don't have option periods because I don't want to waste anyone's time. If I want the deal, I want the deal. Now, if you're wholesaling, just be honest. Let them know, hey, I need a 5-day option period to find a buyer. Sure, no problem. So it's really much looking for the people that say, I'm just looking for the highest offer, because typically that's when you introduce a mess. And that's when you get people over promising and under delivering because they just want to win that contract. And it's like, no, you as the investor, you came to, that valuation of 200,000 for a reason. Stick to it. Don't go over what you think you can actually do. That's when you get in trouble.
That's a good tip. So
Yeah.
bidding war. That's one. That's the first thing that you disqualify. Is there what else?
The people that maybe say, I just want to know what a real estate investor would offer. So we kind of train our VAs that, we have some clients that do want that lead. If the lead just says, I don't know if I'm interested in selling, I just want to know what you're going to offer. So for me personally, I do not consider that a lead.
Exploring.
Yes, they're probably not going to go with you. You're looking for the people that say, I have no other options. I need a solution. I've already tried selling on the market. Okay, now we can actually help each other and provide a real solution. But if you just want to know what an investor is going to offer, I don't have time for that because I want to work with the people that don't have any other options.
So what you mean, what you just share is the level of motivation and the level of how serious they are in working with you. If they're just kicking tires and just checking their options,
Yes,
it's gonna
and
take a while. Even if you do close, the percentage is low.
yes. And I will say, so we got a lot of tire kickers when we did try other lead lists. So I won't name names, but there are other lead lists out there that people can use to, I guess, create a niche list where it's like, oh, 2 stories and 50 or plus, or they have a pool or whatever. Those, I wasted so much time on those. And that's why for like the last 3 years, I've just stayed with Real Estate IQ. It's one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Real Estate IQ worked. You guys have all of the motivations, all of the pain points that you can actually provide a solution, because people people think real estate is all about sales, and it's not. And I think those are the people that maybe teeter out after a few months because they went into it thinking that it was a sales position, but it's a solutions position. And so you really need to go after kind of the list where they have a pain point. They have a foreclosure or divorce, because those are people that may need your solution, not your sales.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a couple of things that I learned is that it's a financial solution type of consultation, really, because we're trying to structure a deal that can solve their problem, and everyone have a little slightly different problem and slightly different motivation. And then the other one that I had a misconception before is like, you don't tell them that you're a wholesaler or you're an investor. You don't tell them that you want to buy the house, or you may not be the end buyer. Actually, the more transparent, the better, and the more they appreciate it, because at the end of the day, it's about winning over their trust and building that credibility. Because in order for any deal to go through, the trust is the underlying foundation for any deal to really happen, because the deal may fall through.
Yes. Yep. And that was the reason a lot of my deals fell through in the beginning, is because I went with what the stereotypical training is, where, build your contracts this way, put a 30-day option period, do all this, don't tell them, put and/or signs. And it's like, oh my God, you can't keep up with the lies, because it is lying. And I feel like that's dirty to say, but it is. And it's like, oh yeah, I have my 14th contractor coming to look at the house. Come on, really? What are we doing here? So our contract started actually closing when we just said, whoa, I'm never going to give you 200. But, CCQ from California may. Let me try. I can try to find you a buyer. Of every single person that we have ever said that to says, of course, I don't care. Sure, I don't care. They literally say, I don't care who closes on my house as long as I get 200,000. Yes. Like, come on. They went with you and they signed a contract with you as a wholesaler because they liked you. But at the end of the day, they just want their 200. So if you tell them, I'll get it, they'll sign with you still. There's no need for the sneakiness and it's too much to keep track of. It's overwhelming. It's not right.
I always find that transparency and honesty is like the best policy. I can't keep track of it myself. Like I just don't want the extra stress of trying to hide. It's too much. And Sheila, you mentioned also, I want to tell you a couple of things about Real Estate IQ too, because you asked that we change the workflow to speed things up for the pre-foreclosure. We're implementing that now. So we're gonna mine the ownership and the address and skip trace them first. And then the deed information, we're deprioritizing that, because that's usually kind of the holdup for offering and delivering that data to you guys. And so we're implementing that right now. We should start seeing better speed going up. And then my comment on the Real Estate IQ leads, I think, comparing to, say, it's a list of 2 stories, how many bedroom, how many bathroom, is that the Real Estate IQ list already has the motivation and in a certain way a desperation, especially for the ones that are going to foreclosure. So they're already qualified one step.
Yes.
Beyond a regular or normal list that you get elsewhere. So we're happy to hear that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have a lot of questions from the audience also. Let me see what maybe Sheila, how about you tell us about your first deal, because the first deal is the most memorable.
Yes.
And tell us about that, everything, the whole flow. How did that work?
So for me, I guess people have different definitions of deals. And for me, my first deal is the one I actually closed. And so this is a sidetrack, but for newer people out there, I just want you to remember, you're going to have a lot of people that say, hey, I've had 3 deals this week. There's a very big difference between a deal and a closing. And so I can go out and get 3 contracts today. All I have to do is go ask my neighbor, how much do you want to sell for? And then he says $1 million. Okay, here's a contract for $1 million. Cool. I got a deal, but I don't have a closing. So for us, our first closing, it was actually in Anna, Texas. So it was a little bit of a smaller town. We wholesaled it. It was, they were facing divorce. They had already left the house. It was abandoned. They were actually just kind of convinced that it was going to go to foreclosure. They weren't answering calls, but we had our VA. She was calling them nonstop. And so the husband, he finally answered the phone. Is like, what do you want? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, but do you want to sell your home? It's going to foreclosure, like blah, blah, blah. And it worked. And then, he reached out to us and he's like, well, I do want to sell, but my ex-wife, she won't answer her phone. Well, we kept blowing her up and texting her until she finally answered. And we just said, you're leaving money on the table. Like, you can actually get money from this. You won't have a foreclosure on your record. The whole spiel. And she agreed. So it was a little bit of a bad house. I'm sure if you can imagine, they're going through a lot of stress. They are in divorce, they're in foreclosure. They had 3 kids. They left. It looked like in the middle of the night, they just left, because a lot of people think when they receive that foreclosure notice, they think they have to leave their house immediately. And that's what happened in this situation. They didn't know they had at least 21 days. And so we actually did go in. We hired some help on Craigslist to help us detrash it and put everything in the garage to make it show up a little bit better. Because the way it looked, I don't think we could have wholesaled it for the amount that we could have and also given them money. I think it would have hurt everybody. So we just invested a couple $100 to clean it up and then wholesale it. The guy ended up flipping it, put it on the market, and that was history. And so once we did that first deal, it was very good. And we kind of just doubled down again, and I quit my job right after that. I think I was just waiting for one deal, and I'm like, I'm done. Let's go.
So, and how much do you guys end up making from that first deal?
That one was a 40.
A 40K.
Yeah. I was like, okay, if I can do this not knowing anything, I think we're okay.
It's good enough to quit the job.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I can go door knocking tomorrow, I guess.
So let's talk about sub 2 for a little bit, and then we'll talk about working with VAs too. We have this question: what's a common source for sub 2 deals?
Yep, it's going to be your foreclosures. So I say, if you are looking for sub 2s, look for the foreclosures, because in a normal situation, if somebody's not facing foreclosure, I don't think sub 2 is a great solution. It can be higher risk. If you are, if you haven't done a sub 2 before as an investor, you need to make sure that you have the capital set aside for it. You need to make sure that you can cover the monthly mortgage for at least 6 months if you're wrapping it. It's not as glorified as people think it is. You need to make sure that you really have your stuff together as an investor before you offer sub 2. But it's going to be foreclosures. I wouldn't focus on divorce or probate. You're going to have a lot of other title issues when it comes with those. So foreclosure.
Foreclosure is the source for sub 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you also mentioned you talk about 6 months or one. I apologize. I was distracted. I was trying to play the right question. Could you repeat that point? I thought that was an important point.
Yes. So, one of the strategies is that you can buy a house sub 2 and say you get it for 3% interest rate. You then market and provide it to another wrap buyer at 8%. So then you become kind of that middleman bank. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to wrap this house. I'm going to have, 1 month of holding costs. I'm going to sell this in 1 month. No, wraps do take a while. And I think that's something that you don't learn until you go through it yourself.
Yeah.
Where I would just plan to hold it for at least 6 months. You're going to have to make that mortgage payment for 6 months before you get your wrap buyer in there. And let's just even say, on month 3, you do find your wrap buyer. Well, typically you're still going to pay that next month for the wrap buyer, because these are normal people. They need to save, 2,000 bucks for moving. So just to make it easy for everybody, just always project you're going to be still paying that next month, even after you close. Sure, you can charge it to them, but I want my rep buyers to be comfortable. I don't want them to be struggled or pushing it. So we always just cover the next month.
That's very good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Having that working capital
Mm-hmm.
to cover it is important. All right. Let's see what are some our next questions. How many hours per week would be a good starting point for a VA?
Yes. So we actually did used to offer 20 hours per week with the VAs, and it just was not enough. You kind of have a jive that you have to get into, a rhythm. And I do always say you kind of have your hot zones between 11 and 7 p.m. is when you need to do the cold calling. 4 hours, it just wasn't enough. And I could see it in the lead generation. And at the end of the day, you're going to be looking at me saying, whoa, I don't have enough leads. And I'm like, oh, it's not enough hours. So right now we just cut it off. This is what I personally have is 30 and 40 hours. It's the only way that I can make sure that you will have enough leads to actually close deals. There is no point. You're just going to be throwing money out the window if you do anything less than 30 hours a week. It's not going to be worth it. I know on paper you're saving money up front, but it's absolutely going to cost you more in the end because it's going to take you a lot longer.
And do you recommend weekends? Would weekends better days or not really?
You can do Saturdays, definitely not on Sundays. You're just going to piss people off. I mean, I kind of always say don't hit that family zone. So don't hit the mornings because people are getting their kids ready for school, and don't hit the dinner time. Those are private hours. And I always try to put myself in their position where somebody called me at 9 a.m. or somebody called me at 7:30 p.m. You're like, hey, this is my time. Like, I'm off the work. Let's stop. So definitely not Sundays. Saturdays, it's a little bit hit and miss. A lot of times people just check out. If they don't recognize your phone number, they're not going to answer. People are checked out on the weekend. It's a little bit tougher. So I would hedge it a lot more in the beginning of the week. People are checked in on Mondays. They are knocking out their to-do list. They're answering their calls. They kind of have that motivation, and it sort of dwindles down during the week. Kind of just like all of us.
Got it. Let's see. We got so many questions. How does it look like, or how does it feel like to have a VA? And maybe we can talk about the whole experience. It's searching for the deals and also doing the cold calls and outreach. What would the day-to-day or what would the experience like for an investor?
Yes. Okay. I mean, okay, there are some people out there that they will say, I love talking to people. That's their strong suit. And it's really amazing to have that be your strong suit. And I think in the beginning, a lot of people, this is what I thought too. And this is why I wasted 6 months of my time is I was thinking, I have to do everything myself. I have to wear every hat. I have to know something before I ask someone else to do it. And all that I was doing, I'm horrible at cold calling. It's not because I wouldn't like it myself. And so I have too much of that struggle to get over, even though we're reaching out to provide a solution. I couldn't get over that mental block. And so hiring a VA to do the cold calling, for them, it's a little less brutal. Where for us, we're like, yes, you have to sell to me. I need this deal. And it's about you. And you start to get a little selfish and you're like, well, I need this deal, so you have to sell to me. No, it's more like the VA. They're just, okay, no problem. You don't want to sell to me? That's completely okay. I'll go on to the next. It hits a little differently. So it's more about putting someone in a position where you're not excelling at. And so if you are a great cold caller, sure, go ahead and do it. But I would venture to say that if you're a good cold caller, you're probably going to be a great closer. So let's build your time instead of cold calling. let's build it into transitioning those hot leads into contracts. And don't spend 8 hours cold calling where all you get is voicemails. Talk to people that want to talk to you.
So let's talk about that too, Sheila. In terms of being a closer and closing, what would be like kind of the more important skill set or factor in being able to get that deal under contract?
Yes.
What would
So
you say? What are the qualities?
it's going off script. It's super simple. It's listening to people. It's not memorizing a script of, hey, this is where I need to go next. I need to make sure I ask this. Like when we go to people's houses, I do not sit there and pick apart their home. That's not what I'm there to do. I'm not there to point out, oh, this is a hideous paint color. Oh my God, your carpet's 10 years old. Oh, your dog pee in the corner. No, like people want to do business with people that they feel good with. And so I'm not here to make you feel horrible about your home. Like anything that is, we can fix it. That's what we're here for. We are real estate investors. We're taking on a problem house because I can provide a solution. And so it's really just listening to the people, just pretending you're at a backyard barbecue and that you're talking with your aunt. And it's like, okay, selling your house is important, but what about afterwards? What are we doing afterwards? Do you need to find a place to live? Do you have family that you can go with? Or it's kind of looking that one step ahead for them. So your best relationships, your best closings are going to be when you actually go off script.
And you look out for their best interest.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And so, yes, you can strong arm a contract in the moment. Some people are very good at that, where they build that sales pressure, they build that, like, I must sign or I'm going to lose my house in 4 weeks. And I don't see those transitioning a lot into actual closings because everybody always stops and thinks about it. Whoa, I don't think that was the best deal for me. Or so you have to make sure, like, you want the person to tell you no right now. So that is one of the things that I ask them, like, how will you know I'm the right decision? Will you tell me no? I can take no, I can't take maybe. So if you're saying maybe I'll work with you, why? Why is it a maybe? Just if it's a no, tell me no. That I can work with. So a lot of people kind of push for that. You really want to work with me? I'm your best solution. No, if you don't want to work with me, tell me and I can move on. It's okay.
And I love that. I think just having that, having the, what's the word? Having the, you know, I'm looking for that word. I'm hoping Sheila, you can bail me out here. It's being able to make a decision of yes or no, instead of maybe and getting strung along, and it's a waste of time, right?
Yeah.
And I love that your approach is to look out for the best interest. I have worked with investors where they pride themselves in being the best negotiator, getting the most from the table.
Mm-hmm.
I think over time it hurts you because if you take the most from the deal, I don't want to do a deal with you anymore.
Yes.
There's no more deals.
Yes, and you know that too. And to be honest, someone who is maybe facing foreclosure, they probably know someone else who's struggling too. And so, yeah, maybe you left $5,000 on the table with this homeowner and you gave them, 5,000 extra, whatever it may be, but it's that relationship for the next time. It's that next referral. It's that agent that saw how you handled yourself in the deal and it's like, oh, I might have another one that you can help with. So it's people think real estate investing is a large world and it's not. It's a very small world, and so it will come back around. It is short-lived and don't be greedy. There's always more. There's the next one. Don't get so focused on, deal number one where you just squeeze it for everything it has. No, just do what's best for everybody and move on to the next. I do strongly believe in the karma. It will catch up. Just
and Sheila, I think that's why I appreciate you and Kurt so much. Even in our first conversation, is that you both are very long term minded, and your starting point is to help people, and being able to develop and build that relationship with these sellers. To me, is crucial. Just from a human happiness standpoint, I want to have a drink with these people. I want to hang out, and like if we're doing deals, it's because we like each other, right? It's not because we're just doing for one deal and one transaction and we don't like each other. I feel like our life is too short for that.
Yes.
And I certainly also incorporate that in the deals that I make too. I'm like, hey, I like you. You're a straightforward guy. Like, I can see myself, sitting down and hanging out with you. So that's why we're doing the deal.
Yeah, and that is what is nice. Like I bring a little bit of the softer approach in my husband and I's relationship. He brings more of that like straight, no BS, straight to the point approach.
Yeah.
And I think, it's his background where it feeds well, where, the conversation is going on a little bit too long. He's great at saying, okay, but what are we going to do to solve this situation right now? Like, what are we doing right now? Let's get to it. So it's a good bridge. And then, like I will say for the husbands and wives out there, like actually build on that and work together on it. I would say don't divide and conquer, work together. If you have a lead appointment, both go to it, because you never know who someone will connect with. And when we do go to lead appointments, we'll both go and you'll see, someone will look at you more, or someone will look at your husband more, or they'll answer the husband. Okay, let him take the lead then. That they're connecting with him, perfect. You take a step back. So I do hear a lot of husband and wives like, oh, divide and conquer. You work this one, I'll work that one. You'll get further along doing it together.
I love that. So let's talk about Unlock VA. This is from Becky. I see no difference in VA services. So how do you set yourself apart? Like, how do we tell one VA service from another?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest difference is going to be you have managed VAs, which is a little bit more of like a premium package, I guess, where they have the coaching, they have monitoring of performance, they have training, they're managed. And then you have Fiverr and Upwork VAs, which are really great for people that are a little bit more on a budget, or just they want somebody who has a lot more time to be hands-on. When I first started, I still had my W-2. I did not have the time to train someone, first off. And how am I going to train someone on something that I'm not good at either? I don't have passion for it. So instead, let's hire a company where this is all that they do. This is what they focus on, where we have managers that have been, cold callers themselves for 5 to 6 years that can actually train and coach. And we are attracting some really amazing VAs. So I have been incredibly lucky, and where one of them has 16 years experience. I'm like, we call her the little Shermanator. She kicks butt. But it's really about finding the people that fill where you're weak at. And so if you're not looking to be hands-on, then don't hire a Fiverr or Upwork VA. Or if some people, they try to intermingle different VA skills, where you will have a VA that does cold calling, admin tasks, general data entry. No. If you have a VA that's a great cold caller, leave her in cold calling. You are doing a disservice by putting her in admin tasks or updating calendars. I want what you're good at. I want you to stay there and excel in it. And it's also listening. So when we do interview our VAs, we're listening for that positivity. I kind of always say, like, I want to hear your smile through the phone, because you get one chance to connect with someone in 3 seconds before they decide if they're going to hang up on you. You have to be positive. You have to be happy. You have to have every single phone call, you have to reset and renew yourself. And so we do coaching sessions and team meetings with our VAs, and we let them know, like, you are actual life changers. And so you're changing the life of your client because you're giving them an opportunity that they didn't have themselves, but you're just a phone call away from changing someone else's life, giving them a solution that they didn't have before. And so it's making sure the VAs understand this isn't sales, that yes, have the script that you can build from, but your best leads are going to be when you go off script. And so that's really something that you can't train for. That's just a soft skill. And so we're really looking for those soft skills of, can you connect? Do you listen? Do you understand what they're saying? Kind of what I let people know is, if we all stuck to the script, so let's say we were talking to a lead and she's like, well, I haven't paid my mortgage in a year because my husband passed away last year. Well, if you stuck to the script, your next question should be, well, have you done any updates since then? Completely misread the room, like completely missed the mark there. Going on to updates is technically correct. That's the next step that you should go to. And that's what a VA who is untrained and unmanaged, that's what they do. That's the script. But having a VA that actually understands we're providing solutions, it's, no, I am so sorry to hear that. What is the best solution for you? What are you thinking will help resolve this? Because now you're going to get into a different type of conversation. Cool. I know you haven't replaced the carpet in 10 years, but by saying and addressing the pain point, we're going to get further into who they are as people, which is what actually matters. It's not about the house, it's about the people.
And for them to choose who they would work with, who they want to work with, it's about that connection and how much it's like you said, Sheila, it's your listening skills. It's how much do they feel that you understand them and that you're looking out for their best interests. I really see a big difference maker there. And it's really good to hear that you guys are incorporating that in your training process and how you coach your team. We have a compensation question. You pay your VA based on hourly or a quote?
So it is both. So you will pay them hourly. What we're trying to avoid is what you were originally doing. So when you were cold calling yourself, no matter how good you are, you're going to have that desperation about you. You're going to have like, oh, you got to sell to me. I called 100 people today and you're the only one that answered. My entire life rides on this. Like, you're not going to hide it. So your VA, you want them to have a much calmer demeanor. And so pay them hourly. If a lead says no to them, it's not a life changer for them. They just move on to the next, which is what we should all be doing. But I think when we take it on personally, we focus too much on turning that no into a yes instead of just moving on to the next. But then of course, I always let clients know, treat the VA as a part of your team just as much as your partner is. So when you do weekly meetings with your partner, you should be doing weekly meetings with your VA. Let them know, hey, this lead was really good because of this. This lead was not good because of this. Grow with them. Let them know the troubles that you're going through. Let them know the projects that you're working on. Then also, when you do close a deal, compensate them. Give them a commission, give them a bonus. It's rewarding. So it's just like us, where, when the company does good, they give bonuses at the end of the year, or project-based bonuses. Same for them. You don't have to, but I just say you should.
We got a couple of questions about pricing, Sheila, for Unlock VA.
Yes. Okay. So it depends on what kind of VA that you want. We call them like a lead generator, which is going to be your VA that generates leads. It's going to be the cold calling, the texting, prospecting. That is $8.50 an hour. Then we do also offer, we call them lead managers. These are VAs with a lot more experience. They're a lot harder to find. So they are $10.50 an hour. They are the ones that are actually going to be taking those hot leads and nurturing them. They're going to be turning those leads into contracts. They're going to be handling the negotiations for you. They're going to be pretty much taking every hot lead and focused on turning it into a contract. I would say probably the biggest misconception is that people, they sort of think every lead is going to be an immediate contract. But even though you have a hot lead sent to your email, they still need 7 to 13 follow-ups. It's still going to take you a lot of times to reach back out to them again, to get them to even get back on the phone. And so just because you have a lead doesn't mean you have a contract. So we do offer lead managers to do that work for you.
And that follow-up is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And making them feel cared for, and kind of keeping track of the issues that they're trying to solve, and just kind of staying on top of the issue for them. I find that very important. So our time is up. Thank you, Sheila, thank you so much for joining us and answering so many questions we have. There are more questions. There are so many questions here that we couldn't answer and finish getting back to. So I think what we'll do is invite Sheila back for our next Q&A session. And also maybe one thing we could do, Sheila, is we send you the list of Q&A questions and we turn it into like a PDF document that we send to the attendees, and then they can review. So anyway, just a little bit of cliffhanger for those that are hungry for more. And I know Sheila has a lot more lessons and a lot more golden nuggets up her sleeves. So we'll certainly invite her back. Sheila, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And check her out. Check out her website. Her website is actually right here in her background, unlockva.com. And you can get more of your questions about how to retain her services and maybe more questions, more frequently asked questions from her website. All right, our time's up. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to keep this running for a while for those that want to. Remember, if you register for this webinar, you will receive a recording of this webinar. Also, you will receive any kind of like PDF documents of Q&A and answers and all the resources from this class. So, all right, that's it. Have a great rest of Monday. Again, we're going to leave this running for the next 13 minutes or so. And we also have, I think our team wanted me to really mention this. We do have a special gift just for you. If you take a picture of this QR code and share your feedback, it's a very short 5 or 6 question survey. We do want to get your feedback of how we can improve this event. We want to keep improving our event for you, so it's valuable. I personally have learned a lot from this class, and thank you again, Sheila. And so we'll be back in a week or 2 weeks, in about 2 weeks, and for our next deal winner, Ask Me Anything. Also, we're also talking to Sheila about running a live class sometime in the future too. So we're really looking forward to that. Thank you. All right.